Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! How to get rid of a homeowners association. A good friend of mine has about 4 years ago inherited the house of his grandparents. He decided to live there for the time being till he has decided what to do with the house. He grew up in it, so he did not really want to sell it. Not even a week after he moved in, he got a visit from a neighborhood committee. They said they are the 3 board members of the homeowners association and are here so he can sign his membership papers. They were extremely nosy and rude. For example, one tried to get into the garage without so much as asking. When he stopped him and asked him where he wanted to go, he had the audacity to say, "I need to check your garage if everything there is in order. I have a right to do this bi-weekly, and denying me access is an offense that will cost you a fine." He then had enough of their audacity and kicked him out of the house. While doing so, one of the board members shoved some papers into his face and told him he needed to sign this right now. He would live there a week already, and these papers had to be signed before moving in. Once they were gone, he took a look at the papers. They were ridiculous and gave the homeowners association rights that were simply real. They had, for example, a right to visit your home bi-weekly and check things like that you do not use a garage for storage, do not have gasoline in containers in your garage, and the same goes for gas. You had to mow your lawn every week, snow had to be shoveled every 2 hours when it snowed, starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. You could not park more than 1 car on your grounds, except inside the garage, and a ton of other nonsense. A few days later, they came back and asked him why he did not sign the papers yet. They also wanted to check the garage again. This time, he would not even let them in and told them he would never become a member of this stupid club. To them, that meant war. Within a week, they had sent him fines worth of $1,000. Some of them were for denying them access to his home, each worth $250. My friend simply did not take them seriously, and he used their stupid letters to help fire his grill. Then came the day where they went extremely too far. He came back and one of the board members had broken into his garage, stood in it, and was writing things down on his notepad. But that was not even the worst part. He had 2 wonderful oak trees in the front of the house. They had been planted by his great-grandparents when they were newlyweds and moved into the house. The homeowners association was in the process of taking them down. They had called a professional crew for this. One was already so damaged. Basically, all twigs were already down. It was just a stump that was left. And the other one they had just started with. He lost it. He told the tree crew to stop right now and explained to them that he was the owner, and what they did was highly illegal. They had no idea, since the board member claimed these trees were in violation of the rules, since supposedly too many leaves went to the neighbor's garden. He had told them that there was no legal reason to put them down, but the board member claimed I had given my okay, because the trees were in violation of rules of the homeowners association. He looked it up later. They actually had a bylaw that if a garden produces more than 1 40-liter sack of leaves, within 2 weeks, the garden owner needs to take down the offending trees within 2 weeks. He told him he would overlook them trespassing if they would be witnesses in court for him. Then he called the cops on the board members for trespassing, breaking and entering. They actually had used a bolt cutter to get into the garage. He had it always closed with a big bike lock after they had tried to get in twice before. The trial must have been glorious. Not only did they have to repay him for the lock and tree, which was worth a ton of money, north of $50,000 if I remember correctly, plus damages for the second tree. He had a professional tree person look at it, so all the damages healed properly, which alone cost nearly $1,000. But these idiots actually thought the trial would have been unfair, and they tried to fight it, which probably cost them an additional $10,000 to $15,000 in lawyers and court costs. All in all, this trial must have cost them over $120,000. Then he went to civil court and sued them for emotional damage. He told them how much these trees meant to him, since his great-grandparents had planted them with seeds from the home country. He really laid it on as thick as he could. Plus, he felt threatened by the homeowners association and could hardly sleep because he always fears they will get into his house again. And the court actually bought it, and they gave him $500,000, plus the costs for a state-of-the-art alarm system so he can feel safe again in his own home. So put all together, he cost the homeowners association nearly $750,000. They had to file for bankruptcy and get a person to check the books so my friend would get his money. But the best is for last. The mediator found out that these three pricks had been defrauding the homeowners association for well over 10 years and were giving out as many fines as they possibly could so they could use it to bolster their income. All three had to sell their houses so they could pay out my friend. Now he is, for most people, one of the favorite people living there, and he constantly gets invited over for grilling and whatnot. You see, most people never wanted the homeowners association in the first place, but the board member practically forced him to sign the contract, claiming it would not be optional, and if they did not sign before moving in, it would be a $500 fine. Only 6 of the over 50 members actually wanted this homeowners association, and people think they did give part of the action as reward for spying out their neighbors to find violations. Next story, entitled Neighbor Complains About Our Noise, ends up losing $8,000. Sometime around 2002, my wife and I moved into an 1,100 square foot condominium with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. We were very fortunate to get this condominium as a second owner, and we paid only $114,000, $6,000 more than the original price. Our condo was only on the 3rd floor and all the rooms were carpeted throughout the condo with only one small 4x4 square of linoleum inside the front door to the outside breezeway. This will become important later, and yes, even the bathrooms, kitchen and dining room were carpeted. The front door opened to a large open space with vaulted ceilings with a great room to the left and the dining room and kitchen to the right. The kitchen area was separated from the great room with a wall that had a cutout over the kitchen sink, and we had a long hallway directly going out of the great room to all the bedrooms, straight in front of the front door. We got to know some of the neighbors and got along well with most of them. The neighbors directly below us were a young couple that were attending university, and they were nice and cordial with us. Shortly after they graduated, they rented out their condo to her brother and his college friends. The brother was a decent guy, and we mostly had no problems except for one of his birthdays, where their music and boisterous conversations and happy birthdays etc. kept us up until 4:30 in the morning. My wife and I returned the favor by blasting our music the very next morning at 8 a.m. We talked a couple of weeks later and all had a laugh about it and never had any real problems after that. Between 2004 and 2006, we changed all the flooring in the kitchen and dining room to ceramic tile, including the area in front of the front door, to avoid having to pay for carpet cleaning in the dining or kitchen area due to spills or our young daughter throwing food on the floor from her high chair. In 2007, our cordial neighbors sold their condo to an older newlywed couple, late 20s to early 30s. Now, if anyone has lived in between a first and a third floor condo or apartment, you will know that it is the worst place to be if you expect silence. With kids or music, you will always have some noise that filters through the floor or ceiling. I don't know what they were thinking or expecting when they moved in there. I was blissfully unaware that the condo had been sold until one day, about a month later, I brought home a powered subwoofer and hooked it up to my home theater sound system around 6 p.m. I promptly put on an action flick with some big explosions and sat down to enjoy the new and improved immersive sound. After a little bit of gunfire and 2 explosions, I hear the doorbell. Ding dong. I get up and immediately hear the ding dong again. I walk the 5 feet to my front door and open it to see my entitled neighbor. I will call her Karen. She was standing on my doorstep. "Hi, can I help you?" Very agitated Karen.
My husband and I are trying to enjoy a quiet and peaceful dinner. Can you please turn down whatever show you're watching? We can hear everything that's going on.
"Oh, sure, sorry about that." She turned around and walked away. I closed the door, turned the subwoofer down a ways and the main volume down a bit and thought nothing of it. Shortly after the next round of gunfire and explosions, I hear the ding-dong again. And then some rapid-fire knocking at my door. I paused my movie and then I opened the door to see Karen again. Hi, what can I do for you?"
We can still hear everything from your show. You need to turn it down now.
At this point, I was a little fed up with her crap, and I decided to call her on it. You say you can hear everything? Can you, give me some of the last dialogue you heard or something?"
I don't know, I just know you're watching X show.
She was totally wrong. No, I'm actually watching Y movie, and here are the last 3 lines of dialogue. And I gave her those lines. "It seems you can't hear my movie as well as you are claiming." Karen was blazing eyes and red in the face.
I don't care, it's too loud. You need to turn it down.
Actually, the noise ordinance says I don't have to turn it down until 10 p.m. Karen, getting huffy.
Fine. I guess my husband and I will have to go out to eat to get some peace and quiet.
Me in my most cheerful voice and waving, "Have a good night." I then turned my subwoofer up a little and the main volume back up to its previous level and enjoyed the rest of my movie. The neighbors did end up going out that night for dinner or whatever. At our next HOA meeting, Karen stands up and complains long and loud about the noise. How she can hear kids jumping on the carpeted floor. We had a 4-year-old. And crying. We had a new baby. And hear us walking up and down our hallway and hear our music and movies and TV shows. And how the Hispanic neighbors on the first floor play their music on Saturday morning so loud they can't sleep in and argue so loud they can hear every word, etc., etc. This went on for 6 months. Every time she complained, the HOA told her, "If it's between the hours of 8 a.m. and 10 p.m., we can do nothing. If it's after 10 p.m. and before 8 a.m., you can call the police." And then the HOA would send out a letter by US mail asking everyone to be cognizant of their neighbors and laying out the local city noise ordinance. I finally stopped attending the HOA meetings after months 3 of the same bullcrap. She never failed to visit at least once or twice in a week after these notices, and twice she taped them to my door. I also learned during this time that they were members of our church and had actually been assigned to visit us each month. They never did. Cue the pro-revenge. Around the 6 to 7 months mark of her constant complaints and harassment and even a couple of visits from some very apologetic police officers after 11 p.m. at night, they said they could hear nothing outside of my condo door. We decided to upgrade our flooring. We knew this would inflame our entitled neighbor. But we didn't care as we were tired of the constant stream of complaints from them. We chose to extend the entry tile all the way from the front door down the long hallway to the master bedroom door, and we wanted to tile the bathrooms as well. We also went with a light coffee-colored bamboo hardwood in our great room. So, demolition first. We tore out the carpet and tack strips and pried the base molding trim off the walls. As I'm removing the last of the nails from the walls and subfloor, about noon on a Saturday, wouldn't you know it? Bang, bang, bang. From the front door. Yes?
Can you keep it down? I'm trying to have a pampered chef party.
Sure. I promptly finished pulling and driving in nails and then proceeded to bang my hammer all over the subflooring like I was driving loads of new nails for the next hour and made sure to turn on my stereo to the local hard rock station and turn it up for the next 4 hours. FYI, the first floor neighbors were already blaring some great mariachi music. They did this every Saturday and Sunday as they cleaned their condo from top to bottom. We then rented a hardwood floor nailer that, in addition to compressor noise and to loudly drive a nail into the flooring and subfloor, also had to be struck with a large dead blow hammer. Bang, bang, bang. It took us 2 to 3 days to install the coffee-colored bamboo hardwood flooring in the great room, and we were sure it was driving Karen absolutely batty. We ended up installing an awesome tile inlaid down the hall, head tile running from the front door to the master bedroom door along the great room side of the divider wall, tile in the dining room, kitchen and both bathrooms. We got the base molding on, more nail gun and compressor fun. Incocked. The new floors looked amazing. And the bonus was every time a hard shoe like my daughter's favorite Sunday shoes she wore everywhere every day, or high heel, my wife chose to learn how to do everything in 4 to 6 inch stilettos during this time. Every time one of those struck the floor, it was like the impact echoed through our perfect floors. All this was due to our neighbor complaining. It was also in preparation to sell our condo as we had grown out of it by this time. We sold it within 1 month of listing at $160,000. During closing, the real estate agent for the new owners told us that the floors absolutely sold this place. We also sold at the very top of the real estate boom right before the real estate market crashed. We later learned from some of our neighbors that within 9 months of our selling our condo, the second floor entitled neighbors moved out and sold their condo for $30,000 less than we had, and took about an $8,000 loss, and sent a letter of complaint to the HOA stating their condo was unlivable because of the noise from our incredible floors. Next story. Dealing with a gas thief. Several years ago, I lived on the northwest coast of Puerto Rico. It is a very relaxed area with tons of good restaurants and lots of green space. My apartment was on a cliff, not far from the water. The electric infrastructure was a bit old, so when it was a rainy season, we'd lose power for a few hours at a time. Not a big deal. I had a gasoline generator. Enter a new neighbor. He lived 2 doors down from me and drove an amazing custom Chevy van from the 70s. All it needed was an epic airbrushed wizard on the side. Sadly though, that's where anything good about him ended. I caught him taking the gas out of an orange jug I'd leave outside in case the generator ran out. Although I saw him do it and called him out on it, he denied it and played stupid. So after the second time, I took all the gas in the jug, filled the generator with it, and put the rest in my car. I then went to the nearest gas station that had diesel and filled it up with diesel. Few days later, I'm woken up by a tow truck backing up to pick up his now disabled van. I looked out the window and you could see the anger on his face. He moved out the next month And from what I gathered from talking to people in the community, he was a jerk human in general. What happened to him was absolutely deserved. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.